G'day guys. I was going to leave this till after the raid gets released, but I'm going to do this in pieces, so by the time this is actually presented as an actual guide, it might be over a couple of days, and there will be more to mention. But the warrior arms, there's lots changed, so I thought I'd do a little touch-up guide, and just sort of like roll out what's changed, and how I've been playing it since I've returned to it in the last week. So I'll go over like just the strengths and some stats and you know, the talents that have changed and what works in conjunction with one another. A little bit about gear, how I'm playing it and getting some pretty decent results, and then just quickly wrap it up. So yeah, let's start off. I guess Arms Warrior strengths have always, well, usually they've been a pretty hefty execute phase. Arms used to always be quite good for that, and it's back quite solid now. The Arms execute phase is very powerful, very powerful. Powerful to the point that they've adjusted one of our abilities, Trauma. Now when you executed, 20% of the damage used to be a dot over 6 seconds. They've balanced that so that it can't crit. Because you'd be seeing 600 plus K crits of this during an execute phase, which is a little bit crazy, I guess. There's a bloke in the background. The other thing that warriors are very good at is when you take sweeping strikes, warriors are extremely solid cleavers. Unfortunately, the range on cleave is quite small. It's not. I think people report that blade flurry and things like that are quite a bit broader. The cleave range for arms is not huge, and I hugely recommend getting a weak aura that'll tell you when more than one target or more than 2 targets are in range, just so you know that you're going to be guaranteeing to cleave your mortal strikes and your executes, which is what sweeping strikes does. Arms also has fairly good burst. As we move into the next tier and get tier gear, you'll find that warrior burst is pretty solid. Burst AoE is quite solid, but outside of a burst window, sustained AoE is kind of a mix of sort of cleaving if there's enough targets, and then whirlwinding. Cleave buffs your next whirlwind depending on how many targets you hit. So each target gives you a 20% buff on your next whirlwind. So, and there's an artifact ability that goes on with it. It adds a shadow cleave, void cleave. But anyway, that's sustained cleave is not sustained AoE is not brilliant. But anyway, so it's basically where arms sort of has its power. It's extremely RNG still. When I say extremely, it has been toned down, but it's still quite RNG based. And the sustained single target, you know, from 100% to 20% of a boss's health is not brilliant. However, once as the boss starts to lower in health, Arms starts to really bring on some pain. The stat weights for Arms are extremely easy to comprehend. Mastery is pretty much king for everything. It increases the damage of your Colossus Smash ability, and the debuff that Colossus Smash leaves. I better check that from memory. That's what it's done. And where's Mastery? I should have probably checked this. I haven't played it in such a long time. Yeah. So Colossus Smash hits for a specific amount, which is increased by your mastery, and then you deal so much damage to the target while it's got Colossus Smash on it. So mastery is king for that, considering Colossus Smash is up for a lot more now that the cooldown's been reduced. It used to be a 45 second, now it's 20 seconds. So you can have Colossus Smash up much more often now in moments of average RNG. The next one is Haste. It's important to note that Haste only has a few breakpoints. The main haste breakpoint is, I think it's about 12 to 13%. You need obviously to keep latency sort of, you know, keep latency in mind when you're talking about haste, because a higher latency will require more haste. But I think it's around 12.5, 13%. You can get an extra ability into the Colossus Smash window, which doesn't matter that much anymore because we're overriding Colossus Smash windows so much more now that we're resetting our Colossus Smash so much more than we were in the past. The main haste breakpoint is I think around 20%, because it'll get an extra global cooldown into your battle cry. Yeah, so that's the main one. And I think from memory, I was reading somewhere that Bladestorm's is reduced by haste. So at the moment mine's 5.3 seconds, but with over 20% haste, that'll go under 5-second cast time, which means the entire thing will be covered in your battle cry, which is pretty cool. Yeah, like a full battle cry Bladestorm is pretty serious. That's really it. Crit is completely worthless. Well, mostly completely worthless. It's your least priority stat, mainly because battle cry gives 100%. It's our major cooldown. It gives 100% crit, and you know, in situations where you got 100% crit is doing nothing. So it's really mastery, your haste breakpoint. You know, you keep in mind your 20% haste breakpoint, and then yeah, mastery, as much as you can get. The I guess what else I'll say is some talents that affect your breakpoint. It's really only in for the kill. In for the kill, just whenever you got Colossus Smash up, it gives you 10% haste for 8 seconds. So that's why you stack your haste to around the, I suppose, 12-13% mark, as a minimum, I guess. Having more is always better, because more haste, more rage. So getting mastery haste gear everywhere is going to be amazing. But yeah, get at least sort of 13%, I guess, to allow for latency to soak up a tiny bit of that. And then whenever in for the kill is up, you're over 20% haste, which means your battle cries you'll be getting an extra GCD into, and your Bladestorm, once we have tier 20, your Bladestorm, which is your major burst cooldown, even on single target, will be completely under battle cry. Good times. So yeah, that's that. The other sort of build ideas here. The current one that does the most single target from what I was playing, and then this has already been balanced, but Dauntless, Trauma, Fervor of Battle, and then in for the kill opportunity strikes. So you were basically dropping Slam completely out of the rotation and just whirlwinding and then reacting to your procs. So when you got a Tactician proc and your Colossus Smash came off cooldown, you'd go Colossus Smash and then you'd use whatever was the most appropriate, which would either be Mortal Strike or Execute. It's really the only decision you have to make is your Tactician resets. There's not a hell of a lot of thought process in this spec now that we're not playing Focus Rage. It's all about, well, okay, what hits harder, a Execute or a Mortal Strike. Now with one stack of alright, let's go back. I'm gonna get ahead of myself here. So the basic spec, yeah, like that. If you're doing any sort of Mythic Plus, any type of Cleave content, then by all means, switch it up. Sweeping Strikes is awesome. I love it. Wherever you can take advantage of it, and for various reasons, which I'll have to get into. But that's what you've got there. And when I'm playing Sweeping Strikes, I'm still keeping the rest. There's no reason to change it yet. Now, when the balance comes through, balance really just means nerf comes through, there may be an argument then to switch these two up. Titanic Might and Rend apparently seem quite close to Fervor of Battle Trauma. Now, I've played a bit with Rend and Titanic Might, and for single target and Cleave, I do more damage like this currently, but that could have something to do with the current balancing. But if you switch it up and go Rend and Titanic Might means that you've got Colossus Smash ready all the time. it takes Colossus Smash down to a 12-second cooldown. It's just ready to go all the time, and you can get Colossus Smash up on multiple targets, which is really cool. And then you can sweeping strikes and cleave stuff. You get big damage. Rend is a high cost ability, 30 rage, does a ton of damage, but the 8-second duration means that you're constantly refreshing it, which is a little bit frustrating. But 30 rage is good. You do get a lot of tactician resets by using it. So it's going to be interesting next week, this week should I say, to see if this, obviously take Dauntless, if this talent setup on single target will be the best. I still think for Cleave you're going to be banging that, and playing like this perhaps. Putting Colossus Smash on as many targets as you can, and sweeping strikes. Stuff. Maybe. We'll see. But that's basically what we're playing at the moment. This last tier, I think more testing needs to be done with this, because Ravager does work in Mythic Plus, for sure. And it generates rage, which is really tasty, but I still enjoy Opportunity Strikes. It's a passive, it's just you select it, you forget about it. It gens rage by itself, it hits pretty hard. As the target's health drops, the chance for this to proc increases. Feeds you with plenty of rage and execute phase. It's just nice. But it's a bit of a gloss over. So like I said, without any sort of hard data or the new raid or a proper balancing pass, which we've still got some balances coming in, this is probably going to have to be revised a little bit. But I would recommend, I guess, if you're just running around the world like I've been doing, just this is what you'll have the best result in, or at least that's what I'm having the best in. If you're going to raid before Wednesday, perhaps you'll find this serves you pretty well for single target fights. But yeah, they're the talents. Dead talents, I guess I should mention. Focus Rage dead, doesn't work anymore. Too expensive. Yeah, just no good. Avatar, these two have been tweaked so much that they just do so much damage. It's hard to justify Avatar. Deadly Calm will only work with a Focus Rage build, and you can't take them both unless you get the Legendary Ring, new one that's come out. Yeah, and Overpower doesn't hit hard enough in my opinion, and it doesn't cost any rage. So not only does it hit not hard enough, it doesn't have a tactician element built into it. I'm going to say tactician a lot, so just so that you know, tactician is the ability to reset Colossus Smash. So tactician reset. Tactician just means Colossus Smash resets for those that don't know the terminology. So that's a little bit about talents and stuff. Gear is pretty easy to go over. You're basically looking for items. Where's a good item for an example? I bet I'm not going to have one. Here you go. Haste Mastery. High Haste. Mastery is a secondary. That's what you want. As much mastery as you can get. For gear, that is. For trinkets and relics and things like that, I would turn your attention to the Arms Compendium that's maintained by people on the Warrior Discord. It's on MMO Champ. I'll put a link to it in the channel. It's freely accessible information for anybody to look at. So I'm sure the blokes won't mind me just chucking a link to it so you can have a view of it. It sort of goes more into the simmy kind of details of which trinkets to use and things like that. But I guess essentially mastery stat sticks for me are providing the best damage, and I've never had high mastery stat sticks like 865, 850. They're pretty terrible, but they do give me the biggest damage increase. I don't have an Arcana Crystal. I don't do a lot of Mythic Plus. I never have, so I don't have a lot of Mythic Plus trinkets and stuff. Sip of the drink. For legendaries though, the Execute Ring is fucking amazing. It's the best. It's the best you can have, in my opinion. It adds another layer to the rotation in that you'll get execute procs before 20%, and the way you weave in your execute procs by way of executioner's precision actually makes it quite engaging. There's decision making to play, decisions to make, not difficult decisions, but you know, it's not brain dead, so it's really good. So I'll talk about that a bit more in the the actual rotation-y bit. But very good. If you got one of these, you're in for fun. The other legendary that I played with on the PTR, the Helm. This thing's gonna be absolutely off its head when you get your tier 24 piece. The tier 24 piece, just for those to remember. So when you Blade Storm, you automatically cast Mortal Strikes. Now they've nerfed this considerably. It used to be 6 Mortal Strikes, now it's only 3, they've halved it. But it means that your major DPS cooldown is Blade Storm, even on single target. So the fact that you're Blade Storming, combine that with the Helm, you're getting a stacking damage buff whilst you're in your burst window. And when you come out of your burst window, hopefully with enough haste, you'll be able to use one ability or a couple of abilities after Blade Storms, after your Blade Storm's up. So you'll see some pretty big crits coming out of a Blade Storm, and perhaps doing like a Colossus Smash Mortal Strike or a Colossus Smash Execute, whatever it happens to be. It's going to be really tasty. So nice synergy. I think the Helm and the Ring are going to be staples of most fights. Or at least what I'm going to use. The Whirlwind Belt with Fervor of Battle will be great. With the Fervor of Battle will be really good. The Weight of the Earth Pants, always good for putting Colossus Smash on all the targets around you. But I honestly think the Helm and Execute Ring are gonna make for some good fun. As far as how to play this bad boy, it's really not that hard anymore. Well, it's never been hard. Oh, my phone's buzzing at me. It's never really been hard when you're not taking Focus Rage. I always thought Focus Rage added a level of complexity that, you know, the rotation itself was never complex, but you add that into boss mechanics, and it turned the whole exercise into something that was, I guess, more complicated than it needed to be. And I mean, it's personal opinion. I didn't find it fun. Some people found it fun. I failed to see how it was fun. But you know, some people really enjoyed it. I think it just added just a level of complexity that, for this game that I play, to try and not think too much, just as an escape, it was a little bit much. I still did okay with it, but this is the level of decision making in this build now. I like a lot more. So essentially, what you're going to be doing is keeping your steady rage flow. Now your rage flow will come in with opportunity strikes, which is completely passive. It comes in through auto attacks, which if you've got a swing timer, you need to keep mindful of when your auto attacks are going to hit, and make sure you're within melee range of the boss when that occurs. And running out or heroic leaping out and charging back into the target, because charge generates so much rage, 25 rage, and if you've got a neck like this, which I highly recommend getting, I should have mentioned that in the gear, it generates a little bit more rage when you charge. So charging, auto attacks, and opportunity strikes, all generating your rage, and you need to be sure that you are maximizing your rage gen. If you miss out on an auto attack, it's a big deal, especially if that auto attack happens to crit. Besides that, it's just following a priority. Now, the priority again is fairly simple to understand. You want to be Colossus smashing to get your tactician proc. Your Shattered Defense proc being this, which means your what spell you decide to cast next, what attack you decide to cast next, Execute or Mortal Strike will hit 50% harder, which is a big deal. And then you're just weighing up, okay, well, Execute or Mortal Strike, which is the most appropriate. Now, the only thing you need to really take into account for this is that this Executioner's Precision increases the damage of your next Mortal Strike by 75%, and it stacks up to 2, so 150%. So with a Tactician reset and a Shattered Defense proc, if you've got no stacks of Executioner's Precision, and you have a choice of casting either Mortal Strike or Execute, you will cast Execute. Because a non-buffed Execute... Well, sorry, an Execute by itself, just with Tactician, with Shattered Defense, will hit way harder than just a normal Mortal Strike. It will, every day of the week. However, if you have one stack of Executioner's Precision, now you kind of... And I honestly haven't checked this out. I need to check this out yet because I've just been sort of flowing with this. Well, now you're in a different territory. So, okay, is Execute going to still hit harder? Or is the 75% buffed Mortal Strike going to hit harder? My gut feeling is that the Mortal Strike's going to hit harder. But I really haven't checked, in all honesty. The difference between the two, but then I suppose the only other decision you've got after that, if they're so close in damage, the only other decision you're going to have is, well, which one has a higher chance to reset Colossus Smash again? And the answer to that is Execute, of course. Execute costs more, so it has more of a chance to reset. Tactician, because it consumes up to additional 27 rage, which will go towards your reset. Whereas Mortal Strike, for me, costs 10 rage. Oh yeah, because the gloves now refund, not refund. Reduce the cost, I think they do. Yeah, okay, so it's 18 rage versus 27, or 30. So obviously Execute's got more of a chance to reset Colossus Smash. But I'm sort of getting off track here. The fact remains, a one-stack Mortal Strike might hit harder than just a flat-out Execute, and they're the decisions you have to make. At the moment, I'm basically following that guide. I'm following Execute raw without any stacks of Executioner's Precision. Whereas if I have the choice between Execute and Mortal Strike, I'll Mortal Strike instead, if I've got one stack of Executioner's Precision. When you get to the Execute phase, though, it's a pretty easy sort of exercise. You just basically execute, Mortal Strike, execute. You're stacking it to 2 and then Mortal Striking, then execute, Mortal Strike, execute, Mortal Strike. That's how I play the Execute phase. And I pop Colossus Smash whenever I can. So it doesn't matter where Colossus Smash procs in the scheme of that. I always just hit Colossus Smash whenever it's ready to go. You don't want to waste a Tactician proc. And during that sort of Execute phase, I'll use my Warbreaker talent to force a Tactician, a Shattered Defense buff when I'm casting a 2-stack Mortal Strike, like a 150% more powerful Mortal Strike. That's what I do. I hope this makes sense. It's a bit confusing, I know, but you'll see it in a second. The only other decision is, okay, so what if I have nothing to cast? I'm out of shit to cast. Well, in that case, with this talent setup, all you're casting is Whirlwind. Boring, I know, but that's what it is. And as you start to dip on rage, you will charge out. You'll run out and charge back in between auto attacks when you don't have Mortal Strike to cast. Now, I still cast Mortal Strike on cooldown because I have these gloves. It makes it cheap for me. My gut feeling is that it's probably not worth casting Mortal Strike if you don't have the gloves. You're better off just Whirlwind. Because Whirlwind costs more, has a greater chance to reset Tactician. So, what you're basically doing is you're charging in, cooldown, execute. Oh, I had 2 procs then. That's pretty good. Just Whirlwinding. You can see my in for the kill is going to reset. So I'll force it back on. Do that. And now I'm out. No resets. No reset, there it is. Now, it's not going to reset. Yes, it is. See, getting lucky. Getting lucky. I'm thinking I might charge out here. Now, this is where, okay, do you use it up? I do. That's one decision I'm not sure of, to be honest. Should I use up that stack of Executioner's Precision on a non-tactician? Or should I just keep spamming Whirlwind to try and force a reset? But it's hard to say. Now we're back to cooldowns. Just keep following the priority. So this is it. This is all it is. Pretty easy. Execute. Now I'll probably force this time. Bang. Charge out. I'll cast a normal Mortal Strike, let it reset, which is good. So, as you can see, the dummy damage isn't amazing. It's like 850k-ish. It's not amazing. But you gotta remember, Opportunity Strikes isn't really doing anything for me here. Because the target's not really dying, it's only losing health. You'll notice that damage ramp up from Opportunity Strikes as the target dies. That's why. Shit, I'll probably start auto attack then. Nope. Might not. Come on, reset. You asshole. Yeah. So I'm not getting any much Opportunity Strikes damage. But this, yeah. This is your single target. I know, and yeah, I get it. It is very sort of boring. There's a little bit of decision making that goes on, but not a hell of a lot. I might leave it there. Rah. And if you look at your damage breakdown, nearly 3 million. Mortal Strike. Execute, hitting for 2.5 mil. Whirlwind is the surprising one. It is pretty bloody hard. Trauma's there. Opportunity Strikes will barely proc. See 12 procs, which is hardly anything. And yeah, that's it. The other way to play, of course, is to go Rend and Titanic Might. And you can let's get over here. You can charge in. And now you'll be slamming when I get a chance to. Oh yeah, now we slam spam. Don't know why. Oh shit. See, now I'm lagging a bit. Many mistakes are being made, but yeah, so this you'll just be keeping up Rend, slam spamming away, and monitoring your infinite cure buff. You don't really want it to drop. There goes Rend. Should have reapplied that quicker. Comes Rend off again. And this will like look really good at high actually this is probably the best I've ever seen. Despite the mistakes. This is doing much better than it was doing the other day. Might just be getting lucky. And see, and because you got Tactician Might, see how quickly Cluster Smash comes off cooldown. I got no resets that it just naturally came off cooldown, but that was like super fast. It was really good. So yeah, so this is the other build that you, I guess, have the choice of playing. For single target, I actually really prefer this. And there's no real rage problems to be seen when you get your resets. Might force that. Yeah, massive. But yeah, that's it. So there's a little sort of an update of what I'm doing. You can see the Rend damage. nearly 600k, sort of 550k ticks. It's pretty tasty. Slam hitting for 800k. But much less than Whirlwind. You know, when you're filling with Whirlwind, you're getting so much more damage from Whirlwind. But and you're also missing out on your trauma dot. But yeah, there you go. That's me little update. Result wise, we did do a raid the other night, just a mythic mess around, mythic Nighthold, and we didn't do a lot, to be honest. I don't think people's brains were in it, but on what boss was it? On Spellblade, not amazing. I think I was up near 1.25 mil or something on the kill, which you know, which for 903 eye level is pretty good. I was, you know, fairly happy. A lot of AoE bursts in that fight, so you should be up pretty high. Other stuff like a wipe of Chromatic Anomaly, I think it was. I was similar. I was up near the 1.2 mil, and we wiped, which was really sad that we were wiping on Mythic Chromatic Anomaly. Wait, was it Chromatic or Trilliax? I forget. The logs are kicking about somewhere. You can have a look at them if you want. But yeah, that's it. Arms, enjoying it, hugely enjoying it, having a good time. Hopefully it stays like this. The play style, I mean, hopefully they don't nerf it too much, you know, so it's, you know, less than competitive, and we're back to Fury. I mean, it's not like I was not enjoying playing Fury. Fury was fine. I was just getting a bit bored. I guess if this Arms play style stuck around for ages and ages, I'll probably get bored of this eventually too. But you know, it's a change. Change is good as a holiday. So that's it. Cheers, guys.